Highhorse Studio 1. I'm a longtime fan as well as subscriber, and I have a very scary as well as disturbing personal story of mine, and I really hope it appears on your channel maybe for your next video. It's been over 7 years when this fucked up act happened to me, and I think I am ready to share it. First off, I am male, slim, athletic, and around 5'11", and I'm still a party animal to this day. I admit I can get a little out of control. I'm from Melbourne, Australia. I was 19 when this happened to me. One Friday night, I was invited to a house party at a friend's house for one crazy fucking night. It was a big house with over 300 people. I knew I was drinking a lot, and definitely took some drugs, like weed and ecstasy, so I took a train there since I know I wouldn't be able to drive. I drank and driven before, and I've been stone driving as well, but I figured this once I wouldn't do it. It took me at least 30 minutes by train from my house to the closest train station, and another 10 minutes walking from the station to the house. As I expected, there were a few people already, some of whom I knew, and some I was meeting for the first time. As the night progressed, we were all dancing in the backyard, having shots, smoking a bong, playing games, etc, etc, etc. It was like this until 1 or 3 in the morning. I could vaguely remember since I was drinking and smoking weed, but probably had a few other stuff as well. At that time, the party was showing signs of not shutting down, but in my state, I was feeling a bit tired, so I was getting my coat ready to leave. But most of my friends, as well as other people, urged me not to leave, so, like the dumbass that I was, I stayed there for a little while longer. I drank and smoked more as everyone else did. About an hour or two later, I was definitely ready to go back home, so I said goodbye to the people that weren't passed out and made my way to the station. I could have caught a taxi, but I had no money, so I walked to the station's underpass. I will admit the walk did sober me up a bit, since I have a high tolerance. As expected, the station would be completely empty of anyone on this hour. On the way to the underpass, I could hear 2 people arguing. When I got closer, it was a man and a woman. The man was shorter than the woman, who was at least the same height as me. Since she was in high heels, I could hear swearing, and suddenly the man slapped the woman through her head against the wall, and when she was on the ground, he was kicking her. I yelled out, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing?" As I was getting closer to beat the shit out of the man, he stopped beating the woman, looked at me, as the woman got up and started to run towards my direction. She ran past me as I locked eyes on her. That was enough time for the guy to come closer enough to me and held a knife to my throat. I was frozen, my heart beating so hard, and I almost shit myself. The man looked really fucking pissed. To describe him, he looked early 40s, short black hair, white and slim build. "You wanna be a hero, huh?" he said in a low voice. I didn't answer, too scared to move or speak. He told me to lie face down on the ground while he still had the knife on his hand. I did what he said, and I could hear him pulling his pants down with his other hand. In my mind, I knew what he was going to do to me. I didn't know how to get out of a situation. "Don't struggle, bitch," he said to me as he was pulling my pants down. He was on top of me, but before he could do what he wanted to do, he leaned closer to my ear and whispered, "I'm gonna fuck you so hard." He didn't finish because he heard a noise, and that's when I headbutted him with the back of my head to his nose, pushed him back off my back, and quickly pulled my pants back off. I ran away, while I can still hear him yelling my name. I wasn't sure what he said, but I could hear him swearing and running towards me. He never caught me. It was a friggin' miracle that I got away, especially in the state that I was in, and by another miracle, the train almost left without me, but I quickly made my way in just 2 seconds before the doors closed. By the time the train was moving, the man had emerged from the underpass and was looking at me, with his knife in his hand, and my phone in the other. He took my phone without me even realizing it. I was so fucking scared what he was gonna do to me, but thanks to my quick thinking, nothing happened to me. I got a new phone, of course, and deactivated all of my information from the one that was stolen from me, so he finding me was not gonna happen. I find it very strange that something like this could have happened to me since I am male. To this day, I will never go to that train station at that hour, and especially in that state. From now on, I catch an Uber, or I stay that night at a house party. Better safe than dead or raped. My creepy car story. Hello, it's me, Mac, again. I hoped you liked my last story about the woods, but I have a new story that involves me when I was on a road trip. Me and my friends, I call them Haley Alyssa and Peyton were all on a road trip with our parents. We were in an RV, and it was an 8-hour drive. We were all getting tired, and all the moms that were driving were taking turns. We had to pee, and we were all hungry, so we stopped at a near rest stop. I get some Roy Rogers. I picked out a burger and fries and went back to the RV. I was the only one in there. I heard the door open, and I didn't think much of it, and didn't even look back. I remember seeing a shadow walk into the room behind me. Later, all 4 moms walked in together and they sit down. I think of the person that walked in before, because I thought it might be one of the kids. The next thing I know, the other kids walk in and my heart sank. I went over to my mom and told her we can't move yet. She asked why, and I told her what had happened. I told them to stay there while I went to check. Now, I was only 12, so my mom got mad. She said no and told me to sit down. I still went over to the room as slowly as I could. The 2 rooms were separated by a curtain. My hand slowly reaches to the curtain and I rip it open. To my surprise, I saw nothing. I got nervous and started to look around from where he was hiding. That room, there were cabinets, and I didn't want to admit it, but I said in my head maybe he was in one. I opened one, and sitting in the cabinet was the man. He was about 45, he was very tall, and he was wearing ripped clothes. In this moment, I was trying to scream, but I couldn't. He pushed me out of the way and ran out of the RV. I was frozen and terrified. So, creepy man in the RV, let's not meet. I've been planning to tell you this story since you filmed your documentary, because I live in the Toronto area, and you seem to be the only YouTuber that's like this. I'm 15 as of now, and am Roman Catholic, so I do believe in ghosts and spirits. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this legend, but I'd like to maybe see you, and maybe talk about this one in your next documentary. If you make another one, they do call her the Lady in Red, apparently. I was only told about this when I was 10 years old, and I never knew about this until 3 months ago. Well, at least I didn't know a majority of Toronto knew about this. I am a pretty honest and trustworthy person. I don't mean to boast, but I was a great student of my old school, and I'm pretty well known in the 2 schools I've been to, high school and elementary, to tell some of my paranormal stories. Now on to the actual information. One day back in 2009, 2010, I think, my mom came home from work one day and told my father, grandparents, and I what her coworkers were talking about at work. She said that they were talking about one of her coworkers' uncles who works at the TTC, and he claims he saw this apparition in a red dress when he was on duty near Lower Bay Street. So they googled this up at work and found a couple of things. There was a massive crash on the Young Shepherd's Spadina line back in 1995. I don't know if you remember this, but the TTC closed down the station, and ever since then, workers have seen a lady in a red dress. My mom was shocked by this, because she had a sure feeling that she knew her, the ghost, that is. Back in the 90s, she had a friend named Christine, who she met through a mutual friend. They were really close because the Filipino population back then was pretty small, and my mom remembers how happy she was. She said she always cooked and had parties. In fact, I know this might seem cheesy, but she loved the color red. She wore a red shirt every day, and even got married on Valentine's Day. At the time of the accident, she was a newlywed, and her husband had just been in Canada for only a year. As you may have gathered up already, she was on the train during the accident, and she passed away due to the head injury. My mom called her phone number to catch up with her a couple weeks later, but she didn't know she passed away. Instead, Christine's sister picked up the phone and asked my mom why she didn't call earlier, because she just passed away in the accident. She told my mom that the past few weeks were too difficult for the family because of the death, and the husband had lost his legs in the accident. That was the last my mom heard from them. I was 10 when she told me this story, and coincidentally, my class had a trip to the ROM about 2 weeks later, and coincidentally, we were traveling on the Young Shepherd's Spadina line. Well, I was telling all my friends the story, and eventually the whole class wanted to know. I forgot to mention that my mom volunteered to help supervise us, so I had a little backup in case I told the story wrong. Of course, us being 9-year-olds, we were all freaked out. We were reaching Spadina Station, and right as we were near it, the train stopped, and the conductor said there would be a delay due to technical difficulties on the subway line. Thankfully, we made it to ROM and back safely and on time. Now, I'm not inclined to the paranormal, but I doubt that this was a coincidence. Ever since then, I would tell the story on the subway when I was with my friends. I didn't mind the story for a couple years until recently. I listened to a subway-themed ghost story Lazy Masquerade uploaded and thought about this topic. I decided to do a little research this up myself and found a couple of interesting things. Now I'm 100% convinced the ghost was my Aunt Christine, even though I never, ever met her before. My name is Jay, and I have 3 stories to tell. My first goes something like this. It happened in the afternoon. I used to live up north, and I lived by some woods. One time in the wintertime, while I was letting my dog out, I heard and saw something out of the norm. I heard someone yelling, "Over here!" It caused me to look up, and I saw a whole pack of deer run by and through the woods. They were literally galloping through the trees. They looked transparent and white. It happened in like an instant, like 4 or 5 seconds. They were completely gone. I just grabbed my dog and went back inside and tried to forget what happened. My second story isn't technically mine, but my mother's. A very long time ago, my mom worked at this restaurant. The restaurant had been there since the 1700s, so it was bound to have some paranormal experiences. One time, when she went in the basement of the establishment, she had to get some forks and napkins. She went down there with her friend. She was collecting the supplies. Someone or something touched her shoulder and hair. She said it literally felt like there was a hand on her shoulder. She at first thought it was her friend, but she turned around, nothing was there. To this day, she claimed that the place is haunted, especially the basement. My third story happened to me when I was just a toddler. One time I was very sick and I felt like I was about to throw up. So as I was getting up, I blinked, and I was no longer in my room. I looked around and noticed I was in a jungle, surrounded by trees and vines. Then suddenly, I sat up straight and woke up, having the same queasy feeling. I started to get up again, I blinked again, and I wasn't in my room again. I was somewhere else completely different. I was frightened because this time, I was in a completely different room that I had never seen before. Then almost instantly sat upright and woke up. I felt as though I couldn't do it anymore, so I got up and ran to the bathroom as quickly as I could. I threw up a lot. To this day, I have no idea what that ordeal was. Hopefully these can be in one of your future videos.